Okay, we're just going to wait for a few more people to come, and then we will ready to go. Hello. Hi there. Okay, let me get started here. Hi there, can you hear me? I can't tell if anyone can hear me. 2 viewers. Oh man, this is great. Okay. Okay, great. I can answer this top question here. Why is IBR payment option suddenly unavailable to international students when it was a possibility back when I inquired about the Product Academy in November 2015? So the income-based repayment actually, oh great, you can hear me. Thanks, Alex. So income-based repayment option was actually, it was really just not clearly communicated. So all of our national students right now are all paying some tuition at least. No one was accepted to this cohort that wasn't going to be able to work through either an O1 visa or an H1B, or the possibility of an H1B at graduation. So the same exact scenario that is in place now was in place for this past cohort. We just communicated it more clearly because last year we just kind of said everyone could get income-based repayment, but then when a lot of international people applied, we were like, actually, this is what applies to you, and some students went along with it because they were happy to try to get an O1. But yeah, so yeah, no difference except for in communication. Now we're trying to be more transparent, trying to communicate better about O1, or sorry, about visas, so that there aren't the wrong expectations. And I guess maybe the broader context for every international person out there, the broader context is we Make School can't offer income-based repayment if you can't then work in the United States upon graduation because of your visa status, which is because the work in America, especially in San Francisco, the salaries are so much higher that it makes sense to do income-based repayment. If you go back to your home country, or even if you leave San Francisco, the salaries drop dramatically, and it stops being possible for Make School to run its current business model, its current plan, which is to make this type of education very accessible to everyone. And I can say in the long grand scheme of things, we absolutely want to be able to offer F1 visas, so formal student visas, to everyone we can. So in the future, and the timeline with that is a little bit tough. So it can take schools as long as 4 years to get accredited, and Make School's 2-year program has only been around 1 year. We did the gap year before that. That was a different program, but a program to get accredited can take almost 4 years. So we've explored some of that, and I can't say, it might be as soon as, a year from now. It might be as long as 2 or 3 years from now. So it's not something exactly to bank on. It's better, I think, to try to come and see if you can make it work in the situation that you're in right now. Okay, good. That was a good question. And yes, we can hear you. I will now take that question and complete that one. Okay, Now I guess I'll take, 10 viewers. Welcome, everyone. Welcome, welcome. I'm at Make School. You can see the wonderful posters behind me. I have one Make School poster here, and here's a cool Y Combinator poster, and here's a pretty poster of San Francisco. So I'm right in the Make School workspace here. There's the tour. That's the tour, everyone. So if everyone wants to, they can use the Q&A button. So if you hover on the computer screen with your mouse, then you'll see this Q&A. And if you click on that, then on the right side of the screen, this QA list will come up. And in there, you'll see questions that people have, and you can vote them up, and you can ask new ones. And then I'll select them, and hopefully I'll get through. I'll just go from the top, because they get ranked by how many votes they have. So feel free to vote on the questions you like, and then I will answer them. And then we'll post this on YouTube, and so people all over in different time zones and everyone who's not here can still view it. So definitely use that. Oh, this is a quick one, so I'm going to do it fast. Okay, so just to be sure, only 50 people will be admitted, correct? Actually, many more than 50 will be admitted. Probably more like 100 or so will be admitted, because we're trying to not have more than like 65 students actually come in and attend. So just to keep in mind, so all schools, all universities, all colleges and high schools, everybody actually admits a lot more people than come, because not everybody comes to, just like if you throw a party, only half the people you invite can come. So the same thing happens to schools. So we'll actually admit more like 100 or 100 plus people. And then just because people have a lot of options and a lot of opportunities, or they can't come for whatever reason, then that'll come down to yeah, we want more than 50 students, but we can't have as many as, like, it gets kind of hairy if we have more than like 60. So somewhere between 50 and 60. Cool, good answer. Yes, one down, done. All right, cool. All right, I'll take on this next one. I watched Seeker's new video. Jeremy Rossman stated that there's a new change, where instead of 2 years, we will have to get a percentage back for 4 years. Will the percentage of what we have to pay back drop? Kenny, this is a wonderful question. So I think Jeremy was speaking about a possibility. And right now, whatever's on the website is really what is the current plan. But because we are fast-moving and very versatile school, and with a lot of innovators in the team, people are finding very interesting ways to help you guys, help all students come and get proper financing and have the education be accessible. So one possibility that makes it more affordable to people is to make it so that there's a longer payback period that's either lower, or it has to do with the internship. So one thing to keep in mind is that the internship's payback currently is very high. It's like most of the internship pay actually goes right to Make School. So in the case of a 4-year or a 3-year, like a longer payback, your internship pay would be your payback would be much lower. So you'd actually take home all that internship pay, which is great. So for example, right now we do most of the internship Make School gets, I think it's something like 45% for full income-based repayment before taxes. So before taxes, I mean, that means that you have, taxes are usually like 25 to 30%. So if 45 is going to Make School and 25 is going to taxes, then you only are getting, that's only 30% going to you. So say you make $40,000, you're only going to get 30% of $40,000. You only get about $11,000. So that's only just about enough to live on for 6 months during that internship. So the longer payback would mean that you'd only pay about 20% of that internship instead of 45. So you'd take home more like $20,000, and then you would, or maybe take home like $15,000 after taxes. So you'd have enough to live on, and you'd maybe even be saving some money, or you could use that money to pay for your living expenses for the next year. So long story short, the deal that is currently going on is the deal will only get better for students. That's always our plan. Every time we sit down to do finance stuff and to make plans about how to help the students make school, we say, how can we make it a better deal for the students? So the deal will never get worse than it is now. I can say that with a lot of confidence. The deal will only get better for students than it is right now. So so we're trying to make the deal as good as possible for you. So that's a great question, Kenny, and I hope I answered it, that there are potential changes in the works, and we'll keep you up to date with what they are, and the deal will always get better for you. Okay. Oh, Kenny's, you're just mopping up the floor here. Okay, let's see here. How many students will live together? Okay, cool. This is a great question. Kenny asks, how many students will live together, and how much personal space will each student have? What is provided in the room? So I have not physically laid eyes on the Minerva dorms. The Minerva dorms are a set of dorms that are currently owned or rented, but own. The master tenant of the lease is the Minerva Project, which is another alternative school that Make School is good friends with. And they have too many dorms for how few students they have. So they're willing to share some of them with our students, which is great. So the rooms will be, I know that the rooms will be 2 people to a room. So like bunking up, you know, like a kind of college environment. In terms of living rooms and in terms of shared kitchen spaces, I can't say, I don't know, but I imagine, you know, I think you should expect like a collegiate environment. So shared living room, shared kitchen, room, you know, 2 people per room, and then shared bathrooms, probably 1 a floor. But you can also, a really great thing is Minerva students will be in the same dorm. So, you know, Make School is only going to be 50 or 60 students, but Minerva is another 100. And they're very interesting people from all over the world and have a lot of interesting backgrounds. And they're all also coming and being the second class of the Minerva Project. So everybody will be kind of chatting with each other and learning and all saying, wow, we're doing this new thing. Make School is doing this new thing in one way, and Minerva is doing this new thing in another way. So it's all very interesting. If you want to read more about the Minerva Project, it was the cover article of The Atlantic about 6 months ago. So if you Google Minerva Project Atlantic, you can read a wonderful article about that. Okay, thank you, Kenny. Just think college dorms. That's the takeaway there. Okay, Florin, if deciding on payment option, when would the fees be due? So the fees shall be due by the first day of class, the first installment of dues. So my hope is that you can pay quarterly. That would be the hope. So I'm working with the web team to make it so that students can pay quarterly or semesterly. So I want students to be able to pay semesterly, maybe quarterly, or it might be quarterly if you're paying full tuition. So it'd only be 7,500 times 4 would be 30,000 for the full year. But then if you're paying if you're paying 15,000 or less, then you'd pay 7,500 one semester, then 7,500 the second semester. And if you're just paying 8,000 total, then you'd probably just do 4,000 first semester, 4,000 second semester. But definitely the first day of class is the day when we'd like that. If you want to secure, if you want to pay ahead in order to like express your certainty of coming, and then that'll be live. The ability to pay tuition to Make School online will not be live for another couple weeks. I'm working with the web team right now to build that. So yes, hope to answer your question. If it gets in 1 week into class and you haven't paid your tuition, that's going to be a big problem. So definitely just try to get, you know, we'll do that on the day 1 at the very latest. Oh, I didn't ask Florin if you meant the 2-year program or the Summer Academy. The Summer Academy has its own way of paying. That's going to be, you know, once scholarships are set, you know, you'll be able to pay online, and that has its own timeline. I'm pretty sure you're supposed to pay like this week actually for summer program. So I was talking about the Product Academy. So a little different. Okay. Next question. I know, okay, here comes Alex Follow up on the Minerva Dorms question. I know Summer Academy is staying in the Minerva Dorms, but will Product Academy also be staying there for 2 years, or will we be staying in a house like the current class? Great question, Alex. So the current class, like Alex said, some of the class is in a big house, like a giant kind of house. Well, it's not that giant. It's pretty packed actually. Like there's like 6 or 7 people living just in the basement, which is not. There's no like walls or anything, so it's a little bit rough. Yeah, so there are some positive things about the house, but there's a lot of negatives. And the dorms are we think a better option than the house right now. So we're hanging on to the house for the old class. Like the old class will keep living there, like who will be rising seniors as you all are rising juniors. But we think the dorms will be a better space. What we might end up doing is have the dorms for juniors and have the house for seniors. Maybe something like that'll turn out. We're not really sure, but really just the main thing was that there were problems with the house that were not good. Like we have to, keep track of everything, and the garbage and services and Wi-Fi and things all became a burden on the staff of Make School. And what we want to do is focus on making your education really good. And so we want to outsource as much as possible the other things like housing. The Minerva dorms are like built to house people, and they have all the services already built in, and we don't have to think about that. And neither do you. So you can just focus on doing your education, and we can focus on making the education as good as possible. So Alex, to answer your question, we definitely want to try the dorms for this next class. I think it'll be fun. I think it'll be a great place to live. I think it'll be safe, comfortable, warm, and fun. And the Minerva students will be there, or half the Minerva students will be there. And just in general, I think it'll be a really great housing situation. Maybe we'll keep the house for like seniors. I don't know. We'll see. But it might be something that sticks around, or it might be something that we get rid of because of the problems it's caused. All right, next question. All right, here comes Gian. I'm really interested to immigrate to the U.S. in the near future. Could you elaborate more on visas after the Product Academy? Is there a special visa for people who create startups in the U.S.? There is a visa for if you start a business in the U.S. and it becomes very successful. So if a business, I think it's 500. I can't give you any kind of like legal advice or anything, but from what I've read, if you make a startup that becomes worth more than $500,000, or has $500,000 in the bank, I think, and then it also employs like a bunch of Americans, then you just get a visa for that. So that's one way. The other way to really to work. So we want you to work in the United States, for income-based repayment. And the best ways to do that is it's on the website on the FAQ. But the best ways to do that is the O1 visa. So if you win awards, nationally recognized or internationally recognized awards, if you judge competitions like hackathons or other kinds of like judging opportunities, if you are published. So if you publish something that's very prominently distributed or seen as a kind of expertise in your field, if you get if you can command an enormous salary, like a big salary, like $300,000 plus or whatever, then you can. These are all criteria for the O1 visa. Without the O1 visa, I don't really know how to emigrate to the United States. I don't know how to do it. I don't think it's super easy. But that's a great Google, I think. I think you should Google search that, and you should also talk to an immigration lawyer because they will really know exactly what you can do to do that. One thing that Make School, just to, in a way, it's not a great thing, but it's currently the case is that Make School is not accredited and doesn't provide a degree, like a bachelor's degree. And that is one thing that will help, that a bachelor's degree will help you get more like visa stuff in America. So, but that's not always going to be the case. So Make School could very well become accredited. But again, the time frame is not clear. So whether it will be sooner, like in a year, or whether it'll be in 3 years or somewhere in between. So yeah, that's a great question, Gian. Definitely something, there's a long history of people trying to move to the United States. Get out there and see kind of what your best bet is. Okay, here comes Kenny. Kenny, you are just on fire. This is great. Okay, I'm a U.S. citizen, chose to pay nothing up front, which is great. That's the idea. What should I bring with me on my first day in San Francisco? How much money should I bring? Will food be provided? Last question, how far away are the dorms from Make School HQ? Technically, Kenny, that's like 3 questions, but I'm going to forgive you. No, but I'll answer each one in turn. So one thing is, income-based repayment is for tuition. This is very important for everyone to really realize. Income-based repayment is for tuition, not living expenses. You absolutely need to have a financial plan for how you're going to live in San Francisco for 2 years. Now, remember, your 6-month internship, you will probably take home your living expenses. Like, you'll probably be paid as much as your living expenses. So 6 months, you're kind of, you get. But the first 10 months, or, well, if you go to the summer academy too, then the first 11 months, and then the last 8 months, that's living in, or the last 8 months or 7 months, those, you're living in San Francisco and you need to pay rent to the dorms, not to us, but to the dorms, which I think will be like $1,000 a month. And then, or if you live on your own, you probably need to plan for like $1,200 to $1,500 a month for a room in a house somewhere nearby Make School. It's a little more expensive than the dorms. And you need to plan to have money for food and clothes and, haircuts, and, you're living in San Francisco. So we recommend $1,500 to $1,800 a month for the time you're living in San Francisco. And then you can think of the internship time you'll be taking home probably about $1,000 a month or more, $1,000 to $1,500 a month. So you can factor that into your plan. But absolutely come with a plan, either savings, your parents are supporting you because they believe that you're getting this fantastic education that will lead you to a very successful career throughout the rest of your life. And so they're willing to support you the same way they would support you going to a more traditional school. Or whatever it is that's your plan to survive, to have enough money. On your first day in San Francisco, you should bring what, if you were moving to a new city. So you should bring the clothes you feel comfortable wearing, and you can buy almost everything here, toothbrushes and sheets and stuff, but you can bring whatever you want to live. Definitely bring a computer, unless you want to buy a new one when you get here. And I would recommend a Mac. Bring a Mac. And their last question, how far away are the dorms? They're about 2 blocks away. So it's extremely close. And it's just wonderful to be so close. You guys are all really lucky. I live much further away. I have to take 20 minutes by bus just to get here. You guys will just walk in. So, yep. Great questions, Kenny. Thanks a lot for asking so many. Okay, here comes Gian. If you get accreditation down the line, will you be able to give diplomas, degrees to students who have successfully completed the Product Academy before you attained accreditation? So yes, I should say not if you graduated already. So if you already graduated or you're about to graduate, then we won't be able to give a degree post facto, after the fact. But if you're in the middle, then most likely, yes, we'll be able to transfer your credits into the accredited program, and then people will be able to get a degree. So if you start this year and the stars are aligned, and by next year we're accredited, then we'd be able to move all your credits over, and then the next year you would get a bachelor's. So that could be great. Now, can you bet on that? I wouldn't. I would plan for, what do they say? Plan for the worst, or expect the best, plan for the worst. So expect the best. Make School is going to be great. Everybody's on the line. We got 20 viewers on the line. Make School is a wonderful thing, and everyone learns a lot, and people are set up for a lifetime of software development expertise. It really is a fantastic thing. So expect the best. But then if you're thinking, what about my visa situation? Do I get a degree? Then you have to plan for, let's just plan for it not turning out. And then if it does turn out, then it's a great boon. It's a great kind of load off your shoulders. And that's what we're doing too on the staff and the faculty side. We are creating the best possible education that we can imagine, that we can create. And we have all the tools and finances and everything we need to make that a possibility. And we're making that. Now we also want to make it as good as possible, but we don't want to oversell it. We don't want to say, oh, it's going to be everything and we're going to give bachelor's degrees and everything, because we haven't worked that all out yet. But we're definitely planning to make that all work. And I think it's very feasible. Well, I should say it's absolutely feasible. I mean, in 3 years, for sure, it'll all be fine. It'll all be accredited. But can we do it sooner is the question. All right, how many Minerva rooms will be available for the Product Academy students? Good question, William. So there will be housing available for you all. That's a sure thing. If it's not the Minerva dorms, then it will be the house. And if it's not the house and the Minerva dorms, then we'll find a solution. And it'll be the same price point. It'll be 2 people to a room for $1,000 a person. That's a very feasible thing for Make School to accommodate for 50 or 60 students. And going forward, when our next class is maybe even bigger. So the exact number of Minerva rooms that will be available to the Product Academy students will be the number of students who need rooms. So we'll just ask for a block. If we have 60 students and say 40 of them want dorms, so some people will be living on their own. I mean, a lot of people want to live on their own. So maybe 40 of them want dorms. We'll just get 40 dorm beds, and that'll be it. So we won't come up short, I promise. Here's a question from Wilson. I am an international student and do not have $15,000 to pay each year. Make School. Can you help me get a loan to pay the tuition? There are, I don't know if we can personally help you get the loan, but we can certainly point you in the direction of someone who might finance you. But it would be up to your, I mean, we can say that you're accepted and that we have great faith in you and we have great, expectations for your abilities to become a software developer engineer. But besides that, you would have to still go and with your credit and with your, application, try to get the loan. But we could help point you in that direction, for sure. If you haven't already found someone who offers loans for these types of trainings. Good question. Next question, Alex. Awesome. Coming up again. In order for Make School to become accredited, will the curriculum have to change to become more well-rounded like a traditional university? Great question. And also what I spend a lot of my time working on. As the lead of the Product Academy, I'm Adam Braus. I didn't even introduce myself. I'm Adam Braus, the lead of the Product Academy. And part of my job is to teach classes. That's about half my job, less than half actually. And the rest of my job is to design and make the curriculum, and to see what works best and make changes when when students request different changes, or when, for these cases, in the case of regulatory changes, we need to make changes. So to answer your question, what I'm saying is I do this every day, so I know the answer. To answer your question is no. We actually won't need to change our curriculum in order to become accredited. It's actually quite amazing, but there are various flexible ways to become accredited. And what we do is it might be an alternative form of education, but it's not completely new. If you talk to these educators and accreditors and people who run these institutions, you can talk about how we do constructivist social educational environments where we measure clock hours and competencies, and they understand. Even though most schools are they run on credit hours, and they want to know how many lecture hours students saw. Even though at Make School we really have no lectures, they understand. They say, oh yeah, you just do a lot of hands-on work and you do a lot of teamwork, and the number of hours still translates. So no, we won't actually have to change the curriculum to become accredited, which is awesome. Good question, Alex. You're really thinking about kind of the things to come here. All right, next question. If you will not be able to grant visas, at least for 4 years, 2 study, 2 working, this year, are you going to solve this problem in next year so I can apply to study later? This is a great question. So absolutely, Dose Bowl, the plan is to be able to offer what are called F1 visas, which are just straight student visas. That'll allow you to be a student as long as you need, so 2 years. And then I believe with an F1 visa, you can get what is called an OPT extension. And the OPT extension allows you to work at least a year and a half. It might be 3 years for software, for computer science. So that would be perfect. And definitely for us, that would be great, and is definitely something we're working towards. And I spend a few hours a week, every week, working towards that. The question is whether it will be next year or it'll be 3 years from now, when that's possible. Great question, and definitely something that is up in the air. And you know, the people who are willing to come to make school right now from abroad, you know, you really have to think of yourself as a pioneer, and you really have to think of yourself as you know, kind of dealing with this sort of complex system. And I appreciate everybody who's come into that process collaboratively with me and other Make School staff and faculty that you talk to, because we aren't immigration lawyers, so we can't just tell you what to do and say that for sure everything will be fine. What we can do is point to our 8 international students who've already come, and they just are finishing their first year, and they have their plans to get their O1 visas. And all I can do is really point to them and say, look, it's possible, but the O1, the H1B, the H1B1, you know, everything it says in the FAQ is really the current state of what we know, what we recommend to be the possibility. So it might be frustrating, but look at that FAQ, reread it, figure out what your situation is, and really it breaks my heart if you feel if your finances don't work out, if you need the income-based repayment and you don't qualify for it. I really feel bad about that, but unfortunately we're just not there yet to offer that to everybody, but we will be someday. Next question. This is really fun. This is like a game. Well, there's a lot of questions. This is great. Maybe I should. Okay, I'm just working from the top right now, but I'll scroll through next time. Okay, would the degree you're looking to get accredited for be equivalent to a bachelor's? Also, how is the parking in the area? I'm debating whether or not to drive. You guys are asking 2 questions in your questions. It's not good. You should ask 1 question. All right. So facilities would be worthwhile if I'm living around Forest Hill. Sorry, I don't know where Forest Hill is, Sam, but the parking around here is not that great. But I assume, you know, it's California, so there's usually parking somewhere, but usually you have to pay. You know, it's gonna be pretty expensive probably to park down here every day, 5 days a week. So something definitely to plan into your finances if you're gonna do that. Otherwise, they're great buses. I mean, I take the bus and bike every day, and it's wonderful. San Francisco is a great place to bus and bike, and BART and Muni and stuff. So that's great. And then in terms of a degree, it would be the equivalent to a bachelor's. However, it would be I'm not sure if it would be a regional or a nationally accredited bachelor's. So the regionally accredited bachelor's is like what you get from a normal school, and a nationally accredited bachelor's is one that you get from like a online university, or one that's the national accreditation is not as strong as the regional accreditation. So for example, graduate schools require you to have a regional accredited bachelor's, but jobs, like employers, no employer that we've talked to has said they even know what the difference is. So so the bachelor's degree would be the same for your employer. It wouldn't make any difference, but for a graduate school, it would make a difference. But Make School is not great if you want to go to graduate school. So one thing for everyone to keep in mind is, if you're like, man, I really want to go get a PhD in computer science, Make School probably not going to serve you the best, because we build things. You know, we solve problems right away. We have, you know, our students go directly into industry and make huge impacts and do these amazing projects in industry. And they change the world through their projects, but they don't change the world necessarily by doing research, like by figuring out faster ways to make computers work inside of laboratories. They make impact by going into companies and building projects and applications and products that change the world. So the bachelor's degree will serve you for your job, and it'll serve you for your visa if you're international, but it won't serve you to go to grad school, as I understand it right now. That also is subject to change. We might, be getting an accreditation that does let you go to grad school. I'm not certain. So again, you guys are asking about kind of the cool stuff, some of the cool stuff that's in motion, and part of going to make school is like to know that things are in motion and kind of know which direction things are headed. But I can assure you, things are headed to make things better for you. Better degrees, better income-based repayment, better housing. Those are absolutely our top priorities. And better education. We're always trying to make the best possible education. Oh, here's a good question. Madur is bringing up, how does Make School compare to 42, the new tuition-free coding school? Great question, Madur. Okay, so here's what I'd say. So I've read a lot about 42, and we're connected sort of partly to them because Jeremy speaks French, and 42 is École Portugais, so they're French, and so I don't know, Jeremy knows a little bit about them. So here's what I've heard is the difference. One thing is 42 basically just lets everybody in and then tries to like run you through a complete like a really tough program, like really intense, and you're sitting at a computer by yourself just doing kind of puzzles together or by yourself, and if you can't do the puzzles, then you're out. So they really cut everybody out, and you have to leave. So that's a big difference from Make School. Make School we don't ask people to leave unless they are not participating. So if people aren't showing up at all, or if they're not communicating with their instructors or communicating with their people, then they ask to leave, because it's like, well, you're not attending school, right? So that would be the only reason. But we don't have you sit and like really work really hard, and then if you don't do good, then you fail out. We don't really do that. Everybody's working really hard and everybody's learning a lot at Make School. We don't need to like get rid of people because they don't. Everyone's learning a lot. So I think that's a little bit misguided. As an educator, I think that's pretty bad for them to do. It's the concept is a weed out class, and we don't do weed out classes at Make School. That's a policy. Another difference is they don't have instructors. So if you're like confused, or like you want to like, learn something, you have to just go Google it, and they just tell you, no, we don't have any instructors. Well, Make School has instructors. We have great instructors. We have instructors who are trained how to run classes. We have instructors who are trained how to coach you both for your career and personally and professionally and technically. We have coffees with, you're expected to have coffee with your instructors. You're expected to have classes with instructors. Your instructors are mentoring and advising you as you build products, and they're bringing decades of experience to the projects that you do, and that's extremely valuable. And at Make School, we really believe that it's valuable to have instructors to be mentors. So those two things I think are the biggest differences. So they'll do a weed out class where you have to kind of work your butt off and I don't think that'd be very fun, and I think it'd be kind of stressful. And at Make School, we don't do that. We let everybody in who's a fit, and then everybody learns a lot without having to weed anyone out. And then we have instructors, and they don't. All right, next question. Great question, Madur. All right, what % of your 2-year graduates walk into a job within, say, a month or so? Says Chris Swift. Our 2-year graduates, well, we don't have any 2-year graduates yet because there's only been 1 year. But out of the 20 students who are in the program right now, 6 of them are international, or 8 of them are international, so they can't work in the United States. But then of the 12 that are there, 10 of them are walking into internships for 6 months. So 10 out of 12. It's something like, it's like 80% or so. No, 83%, 82%. So 82%, but those other 2 still have a few weeks to get it. So I think it'll be 100% of the students who will have an internship straight in. Yeah. So yeah. You should think of getting a job in software technology not as something where you're competing really that much with other people. It's more like you're just competing with yourself to become really great. And then there are jobs for you. Like, it's like musical chairs where there's way more chairs than people. like the music turns off, everybody can have a seat. It's fine. It's not like when there's 1,000 people who want a job and there's only 100 jobs. It's not really how software works right now. There's 1,000 jobs and there's 100 people who can actually do those jobs. So yeah, so as long as you focus on really being excellent and you really focus on developing your skills both technically and in terms of building products, in terms of excellent product development and design, and you work on teamwork, so being a really delightful person to work with on a team, then there's a job for you. So I would reframe it to yourself to be less like, oh, who can get a job, to more like, if I focus on developing myself, then there'll definitely be a job for me. Because that's kind of how things work. All right. Wait, I have to scroll down. I've been just taking the top one, and I feel like that's cheating. Wait, here's one. Okay, here's a +6. This one's only a +4. Why does it? I don't see why it's out of order. Okay, we'll do this one. Jeremy mentioned in a first 2-year info session that some of the students were applying to a Y Combinator. Did any of them get accepted, either in the fellowship or full-time program? So a few student teams have applied to Y Combinator application. No students have been accepted to a fellowship or the full-time program yet. Definitely a possibility that people should be aiming to do. Filling out a Y Combinator application and really trying to make a great application is a wonderful learning exercise as well. So it's not simply, did you get in, you succeed, did you not, you failed. I think it's important to apply multiple times with multiple startups to Y Combinator, and each time you'll learn more about the process. So that's a great question, Slavic. Thanks. But not yet. Someday, maybe your company will be the first, Slavic. Come on, you can do it. All right, next one. On the DS-160 application applying for the B1 visa, should I say my intended length of stay is 6 months and try to extend that later, or say that my intended length of stay is 1 year? Ooh, that's a good question, Jake. I don't know the answer to that question. But you know what I'm going to do is I'm going to shoot that over to people who do know, and see what they answer, and I will send out by email the answer, or post it in the bottom of the YouTube video. Okay, I'll just send that off right now. Maybe we'll even get an answer while we go here. Okay, next question. Sorry, Jake, I don't know the answer, but great question, and I will definitely find out the answer to that, because I too am curious about what other students have done and what we think will work. Again, without providing any actual legal advice, a lawyer would be the best person to talk to actually know the answer, but I can tell you what other students have done. Okay. So say by chance you don't get into the Product Academy, will you be on a waiting list for the next application? And when is the next application, by the way? Great question. So we accept students every year. So if you wanted to apply in a future year, just the next year would be the time to apply. We would definitely consider your application from before and your performance in the Summer Academy before, if you didn't get in. Or if you weren't a fit then. So if you weren't a fit, there'll be concrete reasons why you weren't a fit. So you would just address those reasons. So for example, if it was like, oh, you're not a fit because your software skills didn't ramp up fast enough. A lot of this is like ramping up. We want to see that people ramp up from maybe having done a little bit of Java and some front end design to launching an app in the App Store and really being on track to launching an app in the App Store in the web in the thing. So if you said, oh, you didn't really ramp up that fast, okay, well then the next year you should like build more products and you should improve your product development skills by building products, and you should post code on GitHub, and you should go to hackathons and build things. So for example, so if you're not a fit, then there'll be concrete, pretty clear things you can do to make yourself a better fit. So maybe another thing we really want is people to be great teammates and to be helping each other. So Make School is really a learning community where people teach each other a lot. So there's instructors who are helping, but also people are working on teams and teaching each other a whole lot. So in the Summer Academy, we really like people who are helping each other. They're like, oh, hey, what are you working on? Like, let's work together for an hour, and I'll show you what I'm working on, and you show me what you're working on. So if you're not doing that, if you're just like kind of like off alone doing your stuff and not really helping anyone, then we might say, well, you're not really showing the teamwork skills that you need to be a success, not only a success in Make School, but those are actually skills that you need to be successful in software. So in software, everyone works on teams together, and no one really wants to work with someone who's not friendly and helpful and doing good team leadership and followership. So so if you don't have those skills, we'll say, okay, work on that. So the next year you should like work on that. Maybe join a team like of some other kind, maybe a sports team or something, or some way that you're doing teamwork and really learning the importance of teamwork, or start a startup with a team of people, or do a project with a team of people. So if you don't get in, then you could be definitely accepted the next application. And I recommend that you work on whatever it is that made you not a fit for Make School at the beginning. But again, don't think of it as, I want everyone not to think of it as like a judgment on you. You know, everyone is great and everyone has a lot of potential. What we're trying to do is do a very specific form of education, and the people who we can serve the best and who fit the best are all welcome, and we have space for everybody. So definitely come, put the best foot forward, and I think, you know, the vast majority of people who are conditionally accepted will be fully accepted at the end of the summer, or in the middle of the summer. We'll try to do it in the middle of the summer, so you'll know what the plans are. Great. All right, here comes Alex with another question. Let's see it. When can I reserve a room at the dorms? Also, will we be able to pick our room type and roommates? So for the summer, I think what you should do is just focus on the summer academy now. So get your room for the summer academy, and they have their own way of picking roommates and everything. And then at the summer academy, almost everyone who's going to the 2-year program will be in San Francisco at the summer academy. So we'll be able to do the planning for everything after, or during, like at the end, like in the last 2 weeks of the summer academy. I'll be running around making sure all the housing, or Sarah will be running around making sure all the housing is all great and everybody's happy with where they're at. So important in software, also in life, do things in the right order. So right now, if we tried to plan all the 2-year housing, we'd get screwed up. And if instead we just wait, then we can just do it like 2 weeks, like in August, and then it'll be correct for September. Not a great answer, because the answer is, let's do that in a different order. Let's do that later. But definitely you'll have a chance to say, hey, you're friendly and we're friends, let's be roommates. And you just go tell Sarah, like, we'll be roommates. That's totally fine. So you'll definitely have an ability to have agency there. And if you don't, then maybe we'll have a suggestion of who would be a good roommate for you. Okay, wait, I want to take one that's highly voted on. What's this one? Okay, here's a great question. Gian asked, or they're all great questions, but this one's highly voted. Will it evolve in the 2 years the program lasts, or will it stay static as it originally was? Great question, Gian. It will inevitably change. And the reason why is because we keep making it better and better. Currently, the way the curriculum is going to work, that we're planning on making work, is really there's 3 types of way. So top level is Make School simulates having a tech job already. So day 1 of Make School, you're not a student at Make School, you're a junior developer at Make School, and the same expectations that you would have at a company in a job, the same expectations are at Make School. So you're expected to communicate clearly about where and when you're going to be places, and when people ask you things, you're expected to respond, in a timely manner. And you're expected to come to your stand-up in the mornings, like at 10:30, or 10 or 10:30, and you're to contribute to those stand-ups and say what you did yesterday and what you're planning to do tomorrow. So exactly the kind of stuff that you'd have at a company. So the top level is to simulate a tech company already, so that you build all the patterns and all the skills that you need, so that when you go into a job, people are like, this person's amazing. They work great. Like they just came out of school and they know exactly how to work. So that's the first thing. And that I don't think will change, because that works really well and is a lovely kind of environment to live in, or to work and learn in. Other things that we're going to do are what's called a productorial. So a productorial will be a class where students or instructors, they pick a domain of knowledge, like for example, healthcare, or maybe like something more abstract like refugees, or maybe something like education. And then people all say, well, hey, I'm interested in education. So maybe 15 or 20, 10 or 20 students all come in and say, I'll build a project in education. And then you team up and you all build something for 4 to 6 weeks, all about the problem of education and some problem inside of education. So that'll be a productorial. And then there'll be tutorials, and tutorials are meant to give you more technical depth. So we'll have a tutorial, say for example, on Ruby on Rails. Maybe there'll be a tutorial, and these are all elective, so you don't have to, you should take one or two, but you can pick which one you want to do. So say there's one on Ruby on Rails, and you're like, I want to learn Ruby on Rails. It seems like a really important technology that's very widely used, and the tutorial will be Reddit on Rails. So you build Reddit, like a clone of Reddit, using Rails, and the instructor is teaching lessons 2 or 3 times a week, and you'll have work time 2 or 3 times a week after the lessons. So you'll be learning Ruby on Rails. So productorial, tutorial, and then there'll be pure theory classes. So the classes, very few of them, probably only 20% of your time or any time, but that's where you'll actually be learning, like for example, the mathematics or the writing, or specific like theoretical classes. And those are much more like the teacher, kind of giving you things to read and giving you things to like lead discussions and do problem sets. But that's very few. That's probably only 20% of the time. Probably about 40% of the time you'll be spending on productorials, or 50% of your time on productorials, 30% of your time on tutorials, and then 20% of your time on more theoretical things. And then that gives you, there's still plenty of time to work on other projects, with your friends or whatever it is in the other hours of the week. I mean, that's only 35. What I'm describing is only 35 or 40 hours of the week. So that's basically the outline of the curriculum that we're planning for next year. It's a curriculum that attempts to maximize flexibility and accountability. So students should be making progress very quickly, very learning a lot and doing new things and applying new skills, and instructors will be giving a lot of lessons and creating a lot of time for students to be doing very careful work. But then also flexibility, so students will be able to choose between productorials, then join a team, then decide as a team what product they want to build with what technologies. Or in a tutorial, they'll be able to say, oh, I want to take the Rails tutorial, and someone else will say, oh, I want to take advanced iOS tutorial. Someone else will say, oh, I want to take a whatever it is, VR tutorial. Another person will say, oh, I want to, and there'll be different tutorials offered at different times. And the important thing is just participation. So the main thing is just to participate. We make a lot of opportunities, and maybe you think, well, I don't really love all of these, but it's important that you participate, because we're making the curriculum because it'll make you a good engineer and hireable, which, remember, we want everyone to be hireable at the end. So we're not just making things up that aren't useful for you. So great question, Gian. I took a little bit of an opportunity to tell you guys about, or you all about what the curriculum will be like next year, which is this kind of productorial, tutorial, theory class breakdown, where you'll be, the core underlying belief is that you learn better from building actual products, not from tests and theory and stuff. So, great question, Gian. Sorry I took so long. Oh, this is a good question. Tanasi, what do make school students do during the weekend after hours? Well, that's a great question. They do kind of whatever they like. They have fun. One thing that we like to do that definitely there's a culture of at Make School is board game nights. They're very fun. Make School itself has every board game under the sun. And we play fun things like Avalon and Pandemic and Coup and other cool board games. But yeah, I mean, you can, the weekends are your own. You can attend hackathons. You're in San Francisco, so San Francisco offers a lot of different opportunities. There's wonderful parks. There's great cafes. There's great restaurants. There's tons of meetup groups where you can go in the evenings and get involved in all kinds of meetup groups, whether it's technical or whether it's, whatever it is, writing. There's definitely opportunities to do exercise, to go outdoors. There's soccer. There's a soccer team that a lot of Make School staff are on, and students are welcome to join that league. Yeah, there's a lot to do. I mean, San Francisco is a really cool city. I mean, it's the reason why I live here is because it's really a great city with a lot going on. And you know, I imagine you guys can, or you all can find a lot of things to do. Go to the beach and have a bonfire. Um, go to Chinatown and get dumplings. You know, really the sky's the limit. So that's a great question, Tanasi, because I want to underscore too that make school is like really fun. It's like really, really fun because you get to build things and you get to hang out with a bunch of people who like building things and are kind of similar to each other because we all are tech people who build things. And then you get to all live together and have fun all the time, like doing extracurricular stuff and kind of more fun stuff. Okay. Question from Mark. The people who have been accepted have been really talented. Are all the people that are going to be accepted going to be that talented? I guess I'm asking, do you expect us to come with the knowledge already known, or will you teach us the knowledge? Great question, Mark. So what distinguishes a make school admission, so someone who's accepted to make school, is that they build things and they want to build things and they want to learn from building things. So that's like the core thing. So it's hard to tell if someone wants to learn from building things if they've never built anything. So people need to build things. And it's part of the reason a lot of people are conditionally accepted is because we want you to come to the summer academy and build things, you know, and show that you want to learn from building things. So yes, everyone is expected to build things and learn to build things, learn through building things. If that makes you talented, I guess I don't agree. I guess so Mark, I'll direct everyone to a concept that's an educational concept, and it underpins make school's educational philosophy, the very bedrock, and it should underpin all educational philosophies, which is the concept of a growth mindset. And a growth mindset means that that people can learn things, that everyone can improve their skills, that everyone can learn, that everyone's capable of learning through hard work and through diligent practice. So the idea of people being like talented or not talented, I don't really agree with that. Fundamentally, I don't think people are like talented or not talented. So for example, we have a student right now who's a wonderfully capable engineer, and I found out just a few weeks ago that he only started coding in the summer academy. So he went through the summer academy. He didn't even know what the product academy was. In the summer academy, we announced at the beginning of the summer academy, hey everyone, like, does everyone know what the product academy is? And a bunch of people never even heard about it. And we say, oh yeah, well, you know, you can be considered to come if you want. And some people are, you know, want to come. So he was suggested like, hey, Elio, you know, hey, you're pretty good at this, like you should come. You should do the product academy. And he signed up and did the product academy. And now he is like, has a crazy, like awesome internship. And he's like considered one of the best developers in our class. And he's amazing. And he started at the summer academy, at the beginning of the summer academy. Now, does that mean he was talented? I don't think so. I think it means that he put diligent effort in every single day to work. And he was creative and conscious about how he learned best. And he worked together with a lot of teams, and he learned everything he could from everyone he interacted with. He leveraged the instructors, so when he had questions, he'd go to them. When they gave him suggestions, he would take them and consider them and do them. So instead of thinking in terms of like talented or not talented, I would think in terms of deliberate, like thinking about a growth mindset and having deliberate practice. So even people who have a lot of deliberate practice, who are already very skilled, they're going to get even more skilled at make school, in part because of what instructors teach, and also because of the teams that they interact with all the other people who are all very, very skilled. So I don't know if that answers your question very well. I'll try to answer it very plainly. You have to have a baseline level of skill in order to be accepted to make school, and you gain that skill through hard work that you've done before in your life. And then in make school, we create an environment where we try to optimize your getting more practice. And one way to accelerate people's practice and people's learning is for people who have already logged a few thousand hours of practice, like instructors, to remove barriers and tell you tricks and tips that help you move faster down that route. And at Make School, that's what we do. We remove barriers from your learning, and we give you kind of tips and tricks and abilities to go very rapidly down that path. So yeah, it's a little bit complex, talented, growth mindset. And then are we going to teach you? Yes, we're going to teach you. My job is to teach the instructors sometimes how to teach better. So we definitely are going to teach a lot. But you're also going to be resourceful. So all developers have to be very resourceful. That's part of being a developer. So it's kind of a mixture. Yeah, you're going to learn a lot from teachers and mentors and instructors, but you're also going to learn a lot from your teammates, and you're also going to learn a lot from what you discover on your own. And I think that's no different from any other school. All right. Great question. David Tesler's got a question. Where is the closest gym and how much is the membership? Great question. I don't know where the closest gym is. Memberships to gyms cost between like $40 and $150 a month. But there's lots of gyms around here. I think there's one just down the block, which is called, well, you can just Google it, but yeah, just Google gym on Google Maps and you'll see it, and then you can contact them. But there are gyms. They're great. See you guys. All right, next question. Yes, definitely everyone should, when you get to Make School, definitely consider work-life balance. Sleep, a full night's sleep. Don't sleep too much, don't sleep too little. Exercise, go outside. All these things make you a better learner and a better developer, and just in general make you happier. So do them. Do you have any potential tips for avoiding banking and other fees for international students? Ooh, avoiding banking fees. I don't have any tips. I don't really know how you could avoid fees. But maybe, I don't know about how to get a bank account in America, but maybe if you just took a bunch of money with you and then put it in a bank when you got here, might work. I don't know. Unfortunately, you might have to Google that. I don't have a trick for that one, unfortunately. Sorry. Question. Are you accepting more students than last year? Also, will we know during the summer academy that we've been accepted in the product academy? So yes and yes. So last year we accepted something like 70 people, and about 33 walked in the door, like came in. And this year we'll be accepting probably double that. And we expect double that to come. We want there to be, no more than double that to come through the door, like to actually attend. Yeah. Great. Yeah. And then, will you know in the summer academy? Yes, I'm committed for sure to let everyone know if they're accepted the product academy by the end of the first month of the summer academy. So July, middle of July. So that now saying that, I want you all to realize that then you're being assessed in that first month. So come in with a positive attitude, helping people, and ramping up and ramping up your skills. Great. Next one. This is fun. It's like a game. Okay. Are you considering adding a gym to your facility? This is great. I love going in extra. I just came from the gym, so I'm totally on board. Right now, no. We are more interested in adding more classrooms. So we got to add classrooms first, and then we'll add our gym later. As an international student, will I be able to participate in the tech internship? Can I be paid with a J1 visa? That's interesting. I believe you can, with a J1 visa, be paid. You just need to make sure that you need to make sure that you emphasize that the internship is for learning, which internship should be for learning, but you want to be careful with your language. You don't want to say, oh, I got this job, and they're like, a job? And you're like, an internship, and they're like, like you want to say, I'm getting an internship. It's to learn, and here's what I'm learning. And but yeah, we have a student right now who actually just left Kazu, who's has a J1 visa and will be working in America on the J1 visa. So yep, if you can get the J1 visa, which I don't know the criteria for, then you can work in the internship. I don't think you can use the J1 after you graduate though for 2 years. I think the J1 is shorter than that. So after that you need more. Okay. I'm just going to try to like bang out, like get a few out of the way here. Does Make School organize tech company tours and events for students that attend? We absolutely do. Last year we went to Slack, Lyft, LinkedIn. Where else did we go? We went to THX, you know, that thing that makes the sound for movies. We went to, oh my God. Yes, absolutely. One of the coolest things about Make School is the connections that our staff and our founders, Jeremy and Ashu, have with everybody. It's pretty crazy. If you want to see the kind of people that we can go tour their office or people that we can connect with, you can go look at our partners page on the website because our partners are totally on board. They love Make School. They think we're great. And you know, our partners include Lyft, Edmodo, I think Edmodo, I'm not certain, or Lyft, LinkedIn, a bunch of other companies. So absolutely, that's a possibility. Not just a possibility, that will be happening. Be prepared for field trips out to tech companies. That happens a lot. Also, a lot of people come in to Make School. So this year, students started to complain to me that we had too many speakers. You know, we'd have 2 or 3 speakers from major tech companies, and students said, can we just have 1 a week? It's too many, we have work to do. So we actually had to tone it back to just 1 speaker a week. So yeah, one of the things Make School does great is connect you with existing companies to see them and to interact with their folks. What is Make School looking for the most in its conditionally accepted students during the summer track? Great question, Jake. I think I mentioned this, but I'll cover it again because it's so important. One thing is want you to be thinking about whether Make School is a match for you. So whether you want to learn through building products for the next 2 years. So on one side, it's you. Like we want, you know, you need to be seeing. You should be so you should be assessing Make School as much as Make School is assessing you. That's one thing. The other thing is from a Make School side, we're assessing you based on teamwork. So whether you take suggestions. So like if someone suggests that maybe you should use this library instead of that library, that you actually go and explore using that library. And not just be like, well, I know better how to like do everything, which maybe you do because, you know, a lot of people are very talented, very skilled and have a lot of practice already. But you know, it's important to be taking suggestions. So teamwork, taking suggestions, having a like being kind, having a high emotional and social intelligence, like, you know, don't pick fights with people, you know, like be delightful to work with. And then ramp up your skills in software. So you know when they start doing iOS, you know, show up, you know, do it well. You know, like if they teach something all day, take notes and learn it. You know, and show up. Also, just showing up, it would really look bad. I promise you, it will really look bad if you don't attend things. That's one of the biggest, that's something that's really not acceptable at Make School is to not show up. If you're sick or something, good, then just tell someone before, I'm sick, I can't come. Or, you know, whatever it is, I got into a bike accident, I can't come or something, you know. But you tell before. It's really bad to just no call, no show, and people don't know where you are. Your teammates don't know where you are. They want your help. They want to know, they want to work with you. Your instructors don't know where you are. They're worried. They care about you. They want you to learn. They want you to come to their classes. So definitely, you know, ramp up your skills, teamwork, be kind, be gentle, be nice to work with, take suggestion, and then show up. Don't miss anything without good cause, like illness or out of the country or whatever it is. Okay, next question. Given you don't get a work visa, do you simply go for an unpaid internship, or do you have to skip that and work on some personal project over the 3rd semester? Great question, Luca. Okay, so you have 2 options. One option is, it's not really options. What you should try to do is get an internship abroad, and like maybe in your home country. I think that's the best thing you can do, because then you're getting the internship. The internship is not just for Make School to make money. Like we don't, we just make money so that we can keep the doors open, the lights on, and grow. We don't care like about money. We care about growing this form of education. So don't think about the internship in terms of that. Think about the internships in terms of what you get out of it, which is you get to work in a tech company. So it's really valuable for everyone's career that they work in a tech company for 6 months. That's why we have the internship. So if you can't work in the United States, then you should try to work somewhere in a tech company. So I would recommend that. If you just worked on like a personal project for that time, that's not very good, I don't think. You learn a lot. Like if you're in a company, like as an intern, there's a bunch of other developers there who've all worked for like at least 3 or 4 or 5 years, and they're going to be really interesting to work with and interact with, and you're going to learn a lot about software. So the best thing you can do is try to get an internship in your home country, or in a country where you can work. So like if you have an EU passport, you could get a job in London, or you could get a job in Amsterdam or Stockholm, where there's a lot of tech. Great question. Do make school students meet Mr. President? I don't know who that is. Do you mean Obama? I don't know. Not yet. They haven't met Mr. President yet. If you mean Obama, I don't know. All right, next question. I received a mail from Komal Desai that students should attend Summer Academy to get admitted to Product Academy. After doing some research on your website, I found that you didn't mention any of these terms and conditions regarding the Product Academy. Yeah, interesting. Yeah, well, that's okay. The terms and conditions on our website are just the terms and conditions of using our website. They aren't actually like the terms and conditions of Make School, of like the school itself. They're just the terms and conditions of being, like having an account on our website, like email, password. So it doesn't really apply. But you were looking around for learning stuff, and it seemed like maybe terms and conditions would be a good place to look, but actually that's just for the website. All right, next one. I have a surprising visa conflict which is preventing me to even come to Summer Academy. I have sent the admission an email about this, waited 5 days, no reply. Can you help? Any follow-up? Thanks. Jay Van. So this is also, this is like where my like heart breaks, because absolutely I don't care like where students who want to come to Make School are from. I want everyone to come and succeed at Make School and succeed in their careers. Unfortunately, we can't control, and we can't even provide advice, really. I mean, we can say what other students have done and how and what the outcomes were, but we can't actually say what the inner workings of consuls and visas, passport offices are. So, so if you have a very, very complex visa problem, our admissions people can't really help. They don't know how to make really complex visa problems go away. The best of our knowledge is already posted in the FAQ under the last question of the FAQ. It's a challenge. In the future, I hope Make School can just offer everybody F1 visas, and we'll just have a lot of international people coming on those F1 visas. But I really apologize that, and I don't want anyone to feel like, oh, I thought I could go, they were like cheating me or something, because really we want everyone to be able to come. But unfortunately, there's just this structure, and it depends on what country you're from, and it depends on if you have a degree, and it depends on if you have these different criteria. It just depends on so many things that it's really up to students to figure out where they fall. But so I apologize if visa stuff is preventing people from coming. I think it's attainable for people, but you have to be really careful, and you have to really make a plan. I recommend paper and pen, and connecting with other people who've done international work, like coming to school internationally. Okay, we'll do the next question here. I don't know if I'll get through all of these, but I think I'll get down to at least when there's just one vote, and then I might have to stop because we're already a little over time, but this is fun. So, and it's very nice to meet you all kind of digitally, so that's fun. Make School is so soon, and we have not much time to get prepared, international students. What is the deadline for paying money? Can we bring money with ourselves? So someone asked this before, but I'll answer it again. Definitely you should plan to So for the Summer Academy, you should just pay through the Summer Academy. They have their own way through the website to pay for Summer Academy. So just like you applied for scholarships, you'll be offered a scholarship or not or whatever, and then you'll be able to pay all on the website. And you should just follow their timeline, and they'll be emailing you. For the Product Academy, we don't have a process yet in place in the website. We've just been accepting checks in the past, but you really don't. You really should just plan on paying before day 1 of class. So we'll communicate more about this in August, but just aim to be sure that you have what you need to pay before August, before the first day of class. So you don't have to worry too much about that right now. I'd worry more about that in like August, like middle of August. Think about that. Okay, I'm getting a little bit of a dry throat. If one were to be conditionally accepted into the Product Academy on the condition that we are attending the Summer Academy, but we have a job internship already signed, aligned for the summer, what options can one take? This is a great question, David Tessler. If you're conditionally accepted, we accepted because we want to get to know you better, and we want to make sure that you get a chance to assess if Make School is a good fit for you. That's what we really want to do. That's why people are conditionally accepted, is for that you can check out Make School and we can check out you. It's like dating, it's like a dating period. And it's really important for conditionally accepted people to come to the Summer Academy. It's a really important thing to do, and because that's the way we'll really know if we can, if you're going to be a success for 2 years. So Summer Academy 2 months, Product Academy 2 years. So it's 12 times as long. And also Make School invests a lot of effort and resources into our students. So unlike other schools, I guess let me paint this picture a little bit more broadly. So other colleges will just take your money, tuition, and then they don't really, they care because they say they care, but like economically, it doesn't matter if you succeed. They don't really care, even though they might care. They're mission driven, but it doesn't really matter to their bottom line. Make School, on the other hand, it really matters to us in all different ways that you succeed. And so we can't just accept people and have them pay and then maybe not be a fit, because it's not just not fair to you, but it's not fair to Make School either. So the conditional acceptance to the Summer Academy is really important, because it really is in a way it's showing how different Make School is from other schools, because we are going to invest in you as much as you're going to invest time and effort in Make School. Whereas in other schools, you're just it's a one-way street. You just invest time and money. They just take your money, give you classes, and then if you don't graduate or you leave, it doesn't really matter to them. They're not going to their model still works. But our model doesn't work. If we let in a bunch of people who aren't a good fit, or who don't match, or who are going to leave right away or whatever, then our model doesn't work. Our model actually fails, and we don't want that to happen. So the Summer Academy conditional acceptance is really important and valuable. It's really fun. The Summer Academy is really fun and really cool, and you get to hang out with like 150 or like 200, I think 200 students or something will be here. It's crazy. The whole building is just going to be packed top to bottom for 8 weeks with students building apps. With young software developers just building apps. So really fun, and the skills you get in iOS are just off the chain, and just anyways. So it's important, and it's also a really fun thing to do. So I really recommend that people come and do that. I wish I could do it. I wish I could just come and do the Summer Academy all summer. I got to work. All right, next one. Where do students usually go if they want to study in a quiet place? That's a great question. It's very important for students to study or really work in quiet places. So there are a few options. In the basement, there is a lot of conference rooms that are all quiet and empty and have a closed door. You also don't need to be in the building. A lot of our students like to come to the building, but actually it's not necessary unless you are supposed to be there for a meeting, right? Like if you have a class, or if you have an instructor asked you to meet them, or if another student asked you to meet them at the building, or if you're coming to a stand-up meeting or an all-hands meeting or something where you have to be there, then you have to be in the building. But if it's like between classes, or if you're done with classes or things for the day, there are coffee shops. I mean, San Francisco, there are beautiful coffee shops. There are libraries. There are co-working spaces. There's a free co-working space, it's like 6 blocks from here that Amazon runs. It's great. I love to go work there. But there are spaces in the building as well. Conference rooms, the basement. There'll be more classrooms, spaces available for sure. Great question. That's really important that you find spaces that are quiet to work. All right, another one from Gian. Let's see. Sort of unrelated, but could we do this info session more often? They're a very organic way to clear doubts, unlike the email option where you don't get thousands of emails with individual doubts and we have to wait a long period of time to get responses. Absolutely, Gian. This is a great idea. I would love to put on more of these. Absolutely. This is great. Full disclosure, I will be out of office most of June, and then most people will be in the summer academy when I come back. So I don't think there'll be one before you're all kind of in the summer academy, and we can actually just have a meeting. I'll just say, everyone who's in the product academy, meet here during lunch, and we'll have like a lunch and we'll all talk about the product academy. So a lot of questions will become more clear too when people are actually here. So yeah, but great, definitely, Gian. Probably should have done this sooner. Absolutely, I think you're right. Good suggestion. All right, Alex Riley. Some of the students of the current class are moving into full-time jobs earlier than expected. Are the terms of income-based tuition altered for those students? Great question, Alex. So the current students, so when you are accepted to the Product Academy, and you will then receive an enrollment agreement, and no one's received that yet. We'll get that just a few weeks before the term starts. Everyone will get that, and that's actually the legal document where you agree that you'll do this tuition exchange thing where your tuition will be the salary or percentage of your salary in the future. And those actual contracts were written in a certain way for last class, and they'll be written in a different way for this class. So for last class, there was a lot more focus on like the internship and like the first year being paid for by the internship. And anyways, it was just like a contract that did a certain way, but they made some mistakes, and it wasn't best. It wasn't best for make school, and it wasn't best for the student. And so we're going to make some changes to them, and those will have their own structure when we give them out. But the main thing we want to do is we don't want to incentivize people feeling like, oh, I can like leave and save money, because it's not really true. Make school invests a lot up front in your experience and in your learning. So if you leave when there's like a month or two left, that's just silly. Like, why leave? There's no reason to give you a discount if you leave a month early. That actually hurts the community so much, because all of a sudden the person that the community was relying on leaves. So it won't incentivize that. It won't allow for that, really. It'll be like a school now. If you go to the first 3 weeks of class and you drop out, then you don't get your tuition back. But if you drop out in the first few weeks, then you get your tuition back, that kind of thing. So we'll have it be more structured like that, where it incentivizes students to go all the way through, at least through years, or through semesters, right? So that's one improvement. But I guess maybe I'll just answer your question more specific. Those students all have different income-based tuition agreements with Make School. Not all of them are like this year, they're going to be much more the same for everybody. They won't be different. And basically what we did is we took the different types of agreements that students had for this semester, or this year, but this cohort, and we just codified them into the 4. So the deposit, half tuition, full tuition, and full IRB. So those are basically what most students have, and that'll just be now the standard, and you can just pick which one you like best. So it is possible to leave Make School early, like if you feel like you have the outcome that you want and you're not interested in learning more. But I think a lot of students right now, they might even think that they will want to leave, but Actually, I think they'll come back. And the reason I think that is because a lot of people graduate from college with a CS degree, work for 2 years, and during those 2 years, they learn about really cool things that they want to learn a lot more about. And then they go back and they learn more, or they change jobs to try to learn more about those things. So what Make School allows you to do is work for a year, and in that year, you learn enough and get enough skills and enough network to get into a cool internship that teaches you a lot. In that 6-month internship, you find things that are super cool that you really want to learn a lot more about. And guess what you get to do? You get to come back to Make School and learn for another 8 months, all like deep dive into those things you really want to learn about. And then you can go and get a job right into that thing that you're really passionate about at the end of the 2 years. So you really should, I think it's important to start with the end in sight. So start thinking about not how you're going to get an internship halfway through. I think you will. Everyone, I think, will get an internship halfway through. Think about how at that internship, you're going to learn so much that you're going to want to double down back at Make School to learn special skills that then will get you to the job that you really want, like that job at the Netflix, the Facebook, the Amazon, or starting your own company that really is able to succeed. So I think the 2-year program is a 2-year program, should be a 2-year program, and students should consider it a 2-year program because it really, the value of a 2-year program is much higher than the value of a 10-month program. I think that's a much lower value. So good question, Alex. And I think it's a question a lot of students wonder about, like, is this a 2-year program? Is this a 1-year program? I think sometimes we bat that question around too, like, is this a 1-year program, or should we make it or is it a 2-year program, or should we make it a 1-year program? But everyone on the staff all agrees that the 2-year program is really valuable, and it's a much better choice than a 1-year program. Your career is gonna start at a much higher place to begin with and be able to grow much more if you go through the whole 2 years. Great question. Oh, I didn't really answer your question though, Alex. Yes, if you only go to half of Make School, then your income-based repayment is like less. It might not be half, it might be more than half, because again, we invest a lot in you up front, but it'll be less. I mean, it's not like if you only go for 1 year, we can't charge you for 2 years. Are the majority of previous Make School students focused on getting a job or starting a company? Tanasi, good question. The vast majority are interested in getting a job, and that I think is for good reason. So I was an entrepreneur for full-time for 4 years, and I only did that after I had a really competitive job for 2 years. And I think it's really important for people to do this. It's very important for students, or for people, everyone, to go into an industry and work in the trenches for 2 years and see how the whole thing works. Learn a lot, become a real expert in things through that 2 years of work, and then take the idea that they had kind of in the icebox and go for it. I think that's a really good way to do things. Now, that's not to say you can't start a company when you're in Make School. And if you want to start a company when you're in Make School, come talk to me, because I've started dozens of companies and I've sold a few of them. And I'd love to talk to you about kind of what are the right ways to start and how you're going to save yourself a huge amount of time by doing just a few things differently at the very beginning of starting any company. So we teach entrepreneurship very seriously here, and we are all about students starting big companies and awesome, unicorns. We want that to happen. But at the same time, it's very good to work for 2 years and then try to do that. All right, next question. If one's job or internship is right next to a Make School Summer Academy location, can one attend part-time and or steal food? David Tesler. No. So there's no part-time attendance of Summer Academy. You're just in or you're out. It's like being pregnant. You're either pregnant or you're not pregnant. And you can't steal food. Well, maybe you can come in and get some food, but ask around. Introduce yourself a little bit before you take food. Make sure you don't take anybody else's food. Food needs it. All right, I'm from India and I'm admitted to the Summer Academy, but the seats in headquarters is filled, and I'm passionate to attend Product Academy. Is there any way to attend Product Academy instead? Things like VR, code testing, something like this. So So the Summer Academy, you should contact admissions@makeschool.com, and you should tell them that you want to come to Summer Academy in SF and that you are admitted conditionally to the Product Academy. They will get you into the Product Academy in San Francisco, or at least in the US, in LA or San Francisco, or New York. So anyone who's not in the Summer Academy yet should email admissions@makeschool.com, say I'm a conditional admin to the Product Academy, and I want to come to the Abstract San Francisco, and we should be able to get you I think definitely into the Abstract San Francisco, or into the LA or New York, but somewhere where you could be assessed for the Product Academy. So definitely do that. You can get in. We have spaces. It's just like the computer and like enrollment, and it's like we can't open it up to anybody, because then 1,000 people would say they all want to come. But we open it up to 100 and whatever it is, but actually some of those people won't come, and we have actually a few more seats. And so anyways, just contact admissions@makeschool.com and say, I'm Product Academy and I need to come to that. One thing I want to say too, this hasn't been asked, but I want to say it, is if you enrolled in the intro track, for whatever reason, it's fine. Maybe you made a mistake, maybe whatever it is, you should not enroll in the intro track if you want to be in the Product Academy. First of all, anyone who is admitted conditionally to the Product Academy is going to be so bored in the intro track. It's much more basic. It's just like learning how to even like assign variables to things. So you should definitely be in the apps or the games track. I recommend the apps track if you're trying to split between the two. If you're very passionate about games, then do the games track. But if you want to I mean, we recommend the apps track. But yeah, so do not do the intro track. You'll all be very bored and need to move to the games or the apps track. Okay, let's see here. What do we got here? Notorious Ziwaji. I've enrolled for iOS games in Sunnyvale, and I cannot make payments until I'm physically in the US because of Nepalese law. To go to visa interview, I require a letter from Make School, which I have to show. Haven't got the letter, or am I on the wrong track? I don't know if you're on the wrong track, because I don't know Nepalese visa laws, but you should be able to use your admission letter that you received to do the visa, maybe. If you need another letter, email admissions@makeschool.com and request a more official letter. But I think that's a pretty official letter. It says we want you to come and that you're enrolled, or that you're invited and admitted. If you cannot make payments until you're physically in the US, I would definitely email admissions@makeschool.com and tell them that. Tell them I can't send money by Nepalese law, so I'll pay you guys when I get there. Hold my spot. And I think they'll accommodate that. Great. Make sure you have a plan. I'll say this just again to everyone who's international. Make sure you know how much tuition you are going to be paying. So most international people will be paying either full tuition, $30,000 a year, or half tuition, $15,000 a year. Very few will be paying $8,000 a year, and even fewer just Singaporeans and Chileans and Canadians with bachelor's degrees and Mexicans with bachelor's degrees in computer science will be paying none if they want. So most people are paying tuition. You need to have a concrete idea of how much you're paying, and I should know what that is. So like you should have communicated that to me. All right, let's keep going. Oh, we're down to just +1s. Okay, my computer's dead, and I'm down to just +1s. Let me see if there's any of these that I really want to answer because they're really important to everybody. Okay, it looks like these are good. They're more just like I can't really answer them right now, and my batteries, my computer's about to die. Sorry, everybody, but we went over. We did a whole hour and a half when I was only just going to do an hour. So try to get a lot of those answers out there. Feel free. Everyone can email me Braus at BRAUS at makeschool.com. That's BRAUS at makeschool.com. Please don't contact me through anything else. Like, don't contact me through Facebook. Don't contact me through anything else. Just contact me through email. I am very effective at getting back on emails. I try to get back within 24 hours, and I try to be very thorough, and definitely trying to help you all get the answers you need to come to Make School and be a success. So thanks everybody so much for coming, and I hope it was very helpful, and it will be posted on YouTube after, so you can review it later if you have more questions. And you can even watch it at 2x speed, so you can watch it faster than the way you heard it now. All right, thanks everyone. Take care, bye.